What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Mr. Straight Fact Show. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about the Fed, the Fed chair, what he does. One thing I found out with Trump in office is that I almost always have to be on alert, and it's not the people whom are in their positions for a long time. It's about trusting what Trump has entrusted in other people. Um, for instance, I never did like, a lot of the people that he's hired into his position, um, and like Marco Rubio. But, I have to find myself paying attention more to what they're saying because there's a lot of room to go rogue. There's a lot of room. Donald Trump doesn't know what he's doing. I mean, other than the evil stuff, he knows that. That's just who he is. Uh, but the things that he's doing allows these other people to do negative stuff and us focus on Trump and not so much them. Pam Bondi, I wouldn't trust her as far as I could throw somebody who weighs 1,000 pounds. Just the way that this woman, you know that she's not a part of law. Hey, Vera Hyland, that Pam Bondi's not somebody you could trust. I mean, no person in law would feel comfortable calling somebody gang members, calling somebody a part of MS-13, whatever it is, call all these condemning terms as a person who's supposed to be knowing about law and due process. She gave them none, and she's claiming them to be something that they have not been found in any court of law to be. She could just go around and say, "Oh, that person is criminal. That person is criminal. Oh, grandma over there, I know she did something wrong." And it ain't even I figured it out because I saw her and been watching her for days. No, I just think she is. I just think he is. That's dangerous. You can't just I just think. Somebody needs to be held in this situation with people's lives that have been taken. They should be in jail for what they're doing. There should be some court saying, lock her ass up, lock Marco Rubio up, lock Trump up. We should be able to say as American citizens, these people are the ones who need to be exiled from this country. You can't have due process for everybody but the people they decide that they don't want it for. Donald Trump got arrested, charged. He went through due process. It took years. If we did what he is doing, we should have never watched him go to court all those times because we knew he was guilty. He should have just been thrown into a cage somewhere, never to be seen. That's what he's doing. That's what he's validating. It's crazy how these people talk about they know about the rule of law, yet the person they're taking information from, taking orders from, is a heightened criminal in multiple areas. Financial fraud criminal, a rapist, possible, what's his name? Jeffrey Epstein was, or yeah, he's gone now. But what Jeffrey Epstein was, he hung around with him. Birds of a feather flock together. So you got this man leading our country, and you got a bunch of people over here, MAGA people, who look up to that. But we've been seeing some of them wake up because of Abrego. And it's just insane to sit there and watch this world, this country that bragged about it being the best place on earth, just throw people's rights out the window. Just throw them out the window. It's crazy. But today, if you're a person who's looking at stocks and if you have a 401k, if you don't, that's fine. These things will still affect you regardless of whether you have any particular stocks at all. As the market goes, so does the economy, and everybody's world kind of shifts based upon that. Your rent may go up, your mortgage may go up. Of course, the price of food, eggs, people always say, but the price of food will go up. Today, the Dow closed at a negative 699 plus. S&P 500 was down a little bit over 2%. NASDAQ was over 3%. Now, that may not affect people, who don't have money, of course. But you see an economy, or who don't have money, don't have stocks. But you see an economy going down, and then you start this, and you understand why it started going down. A person who came out and spoke today, that we have the Federal Reserve Chair, and his name is Jerome Powell. Been there since 2018. We've had other Alan Greenspan and this is Bernard Frank, I think his last name. I keep messing his last name up, but we'll talk about them in a minute. But Jerome Powell came out and spoke. Now, I'm a person who always found these things to be boring. You know what I'm saying? Just to sit there and listen to a Fed chair. I mean, I ain't gonna listen to all this stuff. But when it comes to Trump, oh, you better believe, you better listen. Because what Donald Trump is doing, one thing he does do, if you don't pay attention, your life could be rocked because of what he's doing, and you don't pay attention to these stocks and people who are head of the economy or making decisions for the economy. They're the ones we need to listen to. And even though it may sound like a bunch of garbled stuff, there are things that you should be looking out for that should give you an understanding of what you should do, or at least think about doing with the stock that you may own. And doing some of the things that the rich people do. And that's why it started to tumble a little bit. We're going to listen to it, hold me down a little bit, because I know you're going to be like, this shit boring as hell. Like, I know. We're going to listen to him speak for a few minutes here, and then we're going to go into something that I wrote to kind of explain, not necessarily what he's doing, but just explain the whole process. And then we're going to go into, like, I didn't even realize that when these people come out, the head of the chair of the Federal Reserve comes out and speaks, it's almost like you can liken it like Groundhog's Day, right? Or it's like, in a sense, where if it comes out and you see its shadow and all these different things, there's so many days of winter, so many days of spring, whatever the heck it is coming, the particular date, it kind of forecasts what's possibly going to happen based off what that person says. Me listening to it I'm bored sometimes. But what happens is, if you listen to certain adjectives and things of that nature that they say, words they put together, it's letting investors know, sell your shit. Like right now, sell it. And the thing is so weird about it is, it's just a nuance. Because if you watch any of these people, their tell is very small. They have speeches that are very bland for a reason, because what they say controls markets, not only ours, but throughout the world. And so they come out and they say stuff very stoically and very boring. That's for a reason. I thought there was just people who were boring. He probably is, but they're doing that for a reason, because they don't want you to know if the economy is good or bad. They just want you to think of it as like blah. And just in the adjectives they use, if you watch investors listen to it, they're freaking out. And you're like, what the fuck is wrong with them? You don't know exactly what's going on. So we're going to go a little bit through that. I want to go a little bit in depth into that today, just to give us some better understanding of some of these things. As I learn, so shall you. And you may know this already. Some of you guys may be experts in this. So chime in and help people if you can. That's cool. Just as long as we give people like the basis of what's going on. It might be boring to y'all, I understand. But I think we need to go through this to kind of better understand how our world is going to be. Or even if you listen to these things, it's usually, for me, I listen to like the first 5 minutes of the speech. It's usually short when he comes in and says, I want to give you the outlook of our economy. They do it like every 6 weeks, just so you know. And then he comes out and says that. And then they have like a Q&A type thing that lasts for like 40, 50 minutes. I didn't get to watch it all today, but I will go back and watch it, because these little nuances determine how our economy is going, and determines why these markets are going up and down. We'll see what it is like tomorrow after they've heard this as well. Today it really kind of went down, but it could have been worse. So let's go ahead and listen to what he had to say. Yeah. Oh, there he is.
First, I'll briefly discuss the outlook for the economy and monetary policy. So, at the Fed, we are always focused on the dual mandate goals that Congress has given us: maximum employment and stable prices. Despite heightened uncertainty and downside risks, the U.S. economy is still in a solid position.
See, heightened uncertainty, downside risk. I mean, it sounds like he's just speaking, you know what I'm saying? But he's saying, like, due to basically the economy kind of flipping out, certain things that are uncertain. Then he goes into telling you what is certain. That little minor thing right there just sounds like he just spoke through it. Investors would like, oh shit, let's listen to the rest of it. They'll get a little shaky. They know themselves that it's kind of, but they're anticipating what he's going to say next. And starting out that way kind of gets them on a, unnerves them a little bit. And then he continues. Now, it's not like it's going to get like drastically bad, but it's just that it seems very stoic. Nothing's going on. But what he's saying is really about to make the market start to crash to some degree. You don't know what's going to happen. But that's when he says these things, sell, sell, sell. That's what happens.
The labor market is at or near maximum employment. Inflation has come down a great deal, but is still running a bit above our 2% objective. Turning briefly to the incoming data, we'll get the initial reading on first quarter GDP in a couple of weeks. The data we have in hand so far suggests that growth has slowed in the first quarter of this year from last year's solid pace.
Okay, so last year's solid pace means like last year there was a pace of it growing, and in this little quarter it slowed. So they're like, why? What's going on? Well, of course you see what Trump is doing. That's why it's slowing. And also when you exchange leaders, it's always kind of shaky as what's going to happen. So that could mean that even when, like I say, Obama came in from Bush, it still would have been kind of shaky because we don't know what this person's deal is, what they're going to do. With Trump, in such a short time, he has blown people's freaking minds as to like, what the hell is he doing? So that made it more of a shaky situation. So you can see he gave some positive things in there, say, and then he's got some things that are kind of like, blah, you know what I'm saying? But to investors, it's shaky. They're thinking about selling just off what he said so far. They're thinking about it. They probably haven't pulled the trigger just yet. They're still listening for what's coming up next.
Despite strong motor vehicle sales, overall consumer spending appears to have grown modestly. In addition, strong imports during the first quarter, reflecting attempts by businesses to get ahead of potential tariffs, are expected to weigh on GDP growth. Surveys of households and businesses report a sharp decline in sentiment and elevated uncertainty about the outlook, largely reflecting trade policy concerns. Outside forecasts for the full year are coming down, and for the most part point to continued slowing but still positive growth. We are closely tracking incoming data as households and businesses continue to digest these developments. In the labor market, during the first 3 months of this year, non-farm payrolls grew by an average of 150,000 jobs per month. While job growth has slowed relative to last year, the combination of low layoffs and lower labor force growth has kept the unemployment rate in a low and stable range. Meanwhile, the ratio of job openings to unemployed job seekers has remained just above 1, near its pre-pandemic level. Wage growth has continued to moderate while still outpacing inflation. Overall, the labor market appears to be in solid condition and broadly in balance, and is not a significant source of inflationary pressure. As for our price stability mandate, inflation has significantly eased from its pandemic highs of mid-2022 without the kind of painful rise in unemployment that has frequently accompanied efforts to bring down high inflation. Progress on inflation continues at a gradual pace, and recent readings remain above our 2% objective. Estimates based on the most recent data from last week show that total headline PCE prices rose 2.3% over the 12 months ending in March, and that excluding the volatile food and energy categories, core prices rose 2.6%. Looking ahead, looking forward, the new administration is in the process of implementing substantial policy changes in 4 distinct areas: trade, immigration, fiscal policy, and regulation. These policies are still evolving, and their effects on the economy remain highly uncertain.
Highly uncertain. So again, this guy is like the leveled hand. When he's saying things are highly uncertain, one of the things about markets is that certainty, or at least stability, is tantamount to investing. And when a person like him who has documentation and data that we don't have, I mean, he has access to the banks and all that. They start to see, what the trends are that we can't see. So when he comes out peeking his head out like a groundhog, they want to hear what he feels about these certain things. And it's weird. I mean, as I did research today as to how many other Federal Reserve chairs, they have a tell. These people watch these people like a hawk. When we're just listening to it and it's all boring, a person who's dealing in finance and money is looking at his eyebrows, is looking at his face. They're looking at what is his actions. Like other people, they would look at how their jaw would shake if they lied. I mean, it's intense how they treat this. I had no idea. I did this research and I'm like, holy crap, these people really take these words and what he says literally. The words that they say can make millions, if not billions of dollars, based off the fact that them paying attention to what he's saying and how he's saying it. And every one of them after a while has a tell. And these people really spend a lot of money having people watch him and pay attention to what he's saying to see how, basically, is his shadow showing or not. It's crazy. I know, but let's continue.
As we learn more, we will continue to update our assessment. The level of tariff increases announced so far is significantly larger than anticipated, and the same is likely to be true of the economic effects, which will include higher inflation and slower growth. Both survey and market-based measures of near-term inflation expectations have moved up significantly, with survey participants pointing to tariffs. Survey measures of longer-term inflation expectations, for the most part, appear to remain well anchored as well. Market-based break-evens continue to run close to 2%. So, as we gain a better understanding of the policy changes, we'll have a better sense of the implications for the economy and hence for monetary policy. Tariffs are highly likely to generate at least a temporary rise in inflation. The inflationary effects could also be more persistent. Avoiding that outcome will depend on the size of the effects, on how long it takes for them to pass through fully to prices, and ultimately on keeping longer-term inflation expectations well anchored. Our obligation is to keep longer-term inflation expectations well anchored and to make certain that a one-time increase in the price level does not become an ongoing inflation problem. As we act to meet that obligation, we will balance our maximum employment and price stability mandates, keeping in mind that without price stability, we cannot achieve the long periods of strong labor market conditions that benefit all Americans. We may find ourselves in the challenging scenario in which our dual mandate goals are in tension. If that were to occur, we would consider how far the economy is from each goal.
Listen to the term. He said, we might find ourselves in the challenging scenario. We're going to, again, a lot of these adjectives that he's putting to certain things and sentences, they mean really nothing. They seem very benign. But to an investor, they're dire situations. They mean way more than just the word itself. Right? So we're going to go over some of those terms too a little bit later, but we're almost done. Bear with me. It's like 40-some seconds left.
And the potentially different time horizons over which those respective gaps would be anticipated to close. As that great Chicagoan Ferris Bueller once noted,
You got jokes.
life moves pretty fast. For the time being, we are well positioned to wait for greater clarity before considering any adjustments to our policy stance. We continue to analyze the incoming data, the evolving outlook, and the balance of risks. We understand that elevated levels of unemployment or inflation can be damaging and painful for communities, families, and businesses. We will continue to do everything we can to achieve our maximum employment and price stability goals. Thank you, and I look forward to our discussion.
Okay. So that last part is basically saying we have no freaking clue what this man is doing, and we're just going to have to monitor it and see what happens and look at the data. But there's so much in that 5 minutes or so, almost 6 minutes. There's so much to unpack from that. We can't possibly do it here, but I suggest you go and look up the terms. Go back and watch the video. Look up each term that he's saying and educate yourself on each of these terms and what they mean, right? So that gives you a better understanding of like how others feel, like investors and bankers and everything like that. Because a lot of what he's saying, if you get the terms and you figure it out, you don't think that you invest in stocks, and not always about stocks. These things that he's saying all means if you're talking about buying a house, the interest rates may be way too high for you to afford one. That it may reach a situation where they don't want to give out as much money, so it might be harder for you to get a loan for your business or for your home, or for if you're in real estate to buy or business rather, commercial real estate. It may be hard to get that, or way more expensive than you want it to be. So there's so much going on with what he's saying, and only like the people who are, even people who have stocks of their own and just doing it on their own, may not get it. It's these money managers and these big time people, they're the ones who get it, which helps me understand that these new apps coming out, if they are valid, because I haven't worked with them, that actually give you an opportunity to invest like somebody else invests. It would be totally great to invest in shit and stuff like when you see not him so much to speak, because the Federal Reserve, and this is something you guys may not have known, and I didn't know, I found out today. Like the Federal Reserve, chair, they always know how the market's going to go. They're not perfect on it, but they know if they come out and they realize they got all this information from not every bank, but multiple banks that matter, the larger banks. They got all the information from like real estate to all that. They kind of know, ooh, this shit's about to break. Something's wrong. Or they know, oh, it's going to be strong. And up until 2022, they could invest into anything that they found out ahead of time. So if they found out the housing market was going to crash, they just knew it before they told everybody, they could literally go and say, oh, it's going to crash. And they can, know ahead of time. And then once it starts to fall, they know when it's about to rise again, because they get the data that it's on the rise. They can literally buy a lot of property and make a lot of money. It's illegal now, but they used to be able to do that up until 2022 when they made the rule in which they can invest, but there's so many restrictions on their investment. Now they have to wait so many weeks before they make their investments, and they have to notify these particular organizations that they're going to do so that the fix isn't in. But that still doesn't stop them from calling up somebody else and, hey man, I would buy, that type of thing. It just shocked me that the freeness that they had with these type of positions for decades upon decades until now. But anyway, those are the things that I found out. Now, I wrote something that was more of a narrative that I'm going to read after this, kind of give us another understanding. Hopefully I try to write in a sense, and no disrespect to anybody here, it's just for me too. I write it in a sense that it's for something that even a child would more understand it, because again, I don't like speaking over people's heads, and sometimes I do that. I don't mean to do it. It's just that certain things I know about, I just talk the way I talk. But anyway, I'm dumb it down for me and make it so that everybody hopefully can understand what I'm about to say. And this is all about, I had to dig into like why, what is a Federal Reserve chair? What do they do? Do they have a team? How does he know all this stuff? Different things like that to give us some better understanding, like what this all entails. So I'm going to read this and get into it a little bit. And those who, again, forgive me if your knowledge is way better than this. I'm not trying to talk down to you. I just want to get everybody to understand. All right. So I wrote this one. It says most people hear the term Federal Reserve Chair. I'm reading this verbatim and tune out, assuming it's just some distant economic wizard doing mysterious things behind closed doors, right? But the truth is far more real and far more important to your everyday life than most people realize. This is what I'm talking about. Whereas we tune it out because many of us who may not have stock or who may not be invested don't realize this has to do with the price of eggs too, right? Price of your rent going up, property tax going up, all these different things deal with this because when the rich get affected, they put it on you. Okay. The Federal Reserve Chair, whom you just saw, Jerome Powell, is essentially the captain of America's financial ship. The person in his seat steers the economy, not through a wheel or a throttle, but through interest rates, money supply, and the power of their words. Their decision can raise or lower your rent, your mortgage payment, your credit card interest, your job prospects, even the value of your retirement account. They don't act alone. The chair is backed by a powerful brain trust known as the Federal Open Market Committee. If you don't know what it is, please look it up. Give yourself a little bit more better understanding than what I'm narrating or summarizing. Or the FOMC. This team is made of 7 governors from the Federal Reserve Board and 12 regional Fed bank presidents. So as you can see, they understand the market because they're seeing how money's going. They're seeing how interest is going. They're seeing that less people are coming into their banks asking for money, billionaires, millionaires, regular folk. So they keep all this data and they know. Though only 5 of those 12 vote at any one time. Together, they form a kind of economic Jedi Council, meeting every 6 months, meeting every 6 weeks, I said, behind closed doors to analyze the pulse of the U.S. economy. So if you can imagine, of these, I think they said it is these 5 people coming together and just going over data, right? As like what's going on in your sector, and therefore they kind of come up with an understanding. He comes up with this data to tell us. But after they've written that, now they got to bring it down to our level to help us better understand it. Even then, most of us still won't understand it. But after that, they're writing to literally be bland so that everything, you didn't notice. You notice throughout his speech, his tone was the same. You could possibly go to sleep. And that's it. Because any inflection lets people know he meant that shit. What he just said, sell or buy, you know what I'm saying? So he has to be as bland as possible and give nothing away. So that's why they're boring on purpose. I don't know them personally. They could probably be still boring. They come armed with data you and I don't have in real time. Data from banks, markets, businesses, large and small, and indicators that paint a picture of whether the economy is overheating, freezing over, or drifting somewhere in between. They've got PhD economists crunching numbers 24/7. Could you imagine? They know things before the public knows them, which could help investing, right? So now it's illegal to do. So you can imagine how much money they made in the past. Not because they're cheating, but because they're plugged directly into the heart of America's financial engine. Now here's where the power comes in. When inflation is too high or the job market is too tight, the Fed chair may raise interest rates. That makes borrowing money more expensive, slows down spending, and cools the economy. When there's a recession or things are grinding to a halt, they may lower interest rates to make borrowing cheaper and inject life back into the system. So they're constantly working this balance of bringing things up and down based upon whether things are going too well or things are going like crap. It's a delicate dance. One wrong move and the whole floor starts shaking. As you saw, just something so small, which we see as small, but it's huge for the market. When we thought it was China, it was Japan that was selling off bonds. The bond market, again, an understanding of kind of getting, again, this is a neophyte understanding in a sense. It's not going to be exact. When the stock market is going pretty bad, or they assume there's going to be some rough roads ahead based off what he said or inflections on what he said or something else, right? Doing what Trump doing, these tariffs. The ones who have a lot to lose will pull money out and put it into bonds. Bonds are pretty much IOUs, so they're steady. As long as America stays afloat, they're going to pay back these bonds, right? So they'll take their money out of the market when it's too risky, put it into bonds where it's more safe, and they'll hold them there until the market starts to level off, and then they'll put money back in and then get it hopefully when it starts to rise again. So it's just a continued dance of going from one to the other. The problem is when the bonds are starting to drop too, which you saw with Donald Trump, is the reason why he changed his mind and said, oh, we're going to take the tariffs off, because the bonds started to go, which people thought it was China selling. It was Japan. They were like, yo, this country's tripping. I want my money. I'm about to sell some of this stuff off. And they didn't sell a lot, but it's enough to have a trickle effect where people are like, ooh, or a domino effect. And other people start to do the same thing. Anybody that has the most money into a country starts to shake. Other people are like, oh shit, they're pulling out. I got to pull out. And if you didn't know, Japan has 1.1, it's like 1.079 or something like that. You round it up, $1.1 trillion. They own that much of our debt and bonds. So, yeah, just a little understanding about that. Okay, let's continue. But it's not just what they do, it's what they say. Markets hang on every word, every adjective, every pause, even when they pause. When the Fed chair gives a speech, it's not a casual press conference. It's a coded message to Wall Street, the business world, and every investor on earth. Because when the Fed chair says something like inflation is moderating, which he said something to that nature, investors hear rate cuts may be on the horizon. If they say persistent inflation, investors hear higher rates for longer times than what they would expect. They are the only public official who can crash or revive the stock market just by opening their mouth. But let's be real. Being the Fed chair isn't about having all the answers. It's about managing fear. Fear is what moves things up or down. Calmness and things of that nature help us as well. Managing confidence, managing expectations. It's about keeping the system steady, even when it feels like the wheels are wobbling. They're not fortune tellers, and they're definitely not perfect, but their job is to balance a $25 trillion economy on the edge of a blade and try not to blink. So the next time you hear someone say the Fed chair spoke today, don't shrug it off. That wasn't just a speech. That was a signal, a warning, a green light, a chess move in the world's most complex game. And the ripple effect, it hits your bank account, your job, your rent, your gas prices, sometimes before you even realize it. What they say could force companies to fire thousands of people. That's why when you look at some of the companies that you've worked for, I know for me, I've worked for, when they've had layoffs, you can get those layoffs and focus on how often were they around the person speaking. Back in the day, like Alan Greenspan would speak. He was a Fed chair. After he spoke, there were multiple layoffs because people just saw something coming. And they're like, oh, that what he just said. And again, these people are bland, but they figure it out and they'll risk getting rid of people's jobs because they know they need to make a lot of money before this thing hits. And the thing about it is, there's not like again, these guys aren't fortune tellers. It's an educated guess based on data. So when they figure that out, they're riding it. They may preemptively fire people that they're going to need. But while you're gone, they're making so much money off of not paying you what the money they were paying you and the thousands that they fired. They got all these people over here working their butts off to replace you guys. But if they figure the company's still working, then they don't need you anymore, even if he is wrong, right? So kind of understand how these things kind of have a ripple effect. Um, this isn't just economics, this is life. And the Fed chair, they're holding the microphone, the steering wheel, and sometimes the parachute. Um, so these things happen where these people come out and speak and jobs may be lost. But a lot of times what we think on the average person level, that's just not for me. I don't know what he's talking about. Those things that they're saying, if you can read them well and you kind of get it, it's not your bosses that are reading this and figuring it out. It's the owners that are reading this. It's the investors that are reading this, and they're going to bail on certain things. They're going to take money out that was promised, therefore not start that business, not start construction on that house because of these particular things that happen. And it's more serious than we would think. What got me to think about a lot of this stuff, of course, what happened today, was I wanted to know, were there any tells that any of these people have? Like, I watched him. I didn't watch the entire hour and whatever, so many minutes of it, but I'm going to do it later. But my question was to find out, like, do they have any tells that change markets majorly? And again, what are they? What are they looking for? So I'm gonna go with just like three people. I think it's Alan Greenspan, Ben Bernanke, yeah, Bernanke, and then Jerome Powell. And then we're gonna go into the adjectives in which what they say, what investors possibly would get from it. Okay, hopefully this is okay, but I just thought this stuff was interesting to be able to kind of learn about it. And let me get to it here. As far as Alan Greenspan, who was the chair from 1987 to 2006, they nicknamed this man the Oracle. He must be really good to be getting named the Oracle. He was famous for speaking in riddles. He spoke in riddles. His tell was when he was vague or overly complicated, investors assumed he was hiding something big. That's how deep they went into people. It's like this dude's telling jokes. He's telling, he would tell a riddle, and if he went riddleless, it was like, oh, something wrong. So they would pay attention to that. But when he got suddenly clear, like very clear on something, Marcus knew he was dead serious. So they knew how to invest based upon, his tell, like a poker player. He has a famous quote. There's a quote that says, "If you think you understand," here's what he said: "If you think you understood what I said, you probably misunderstood me." And that was translated into "buckle up. There's something's about to go wrong." And so, just to give you an understanding of how some of these things, these people, the markets kind of thought when they were working, and how some people look at this man, what we just saw, and give some ideas about what he has said in the past. Ben Bernanke from 2006 to 2014. What was it, 8 years? The Great Recession guy is what he got his nickname. He was more plain spoken. His tell, he would downplay issues until it was time to overreact massively. So he kept playing it down until it hit to the, what hit the fan, which is not good, but that's how they figured him out. Smart investors bet against his calm when they saw cracks in the system. So whenever he was calm, they bet against him and they would win. That was his tell. Wait till he's calm and bet against him. And people made a lot of money off of him. This guy, Jerome Powell, been there since 2018, which means Donald Trump brought him into office. Well, I don't know if he's elected by Donald Trump, but he was in office when Donald Trump was the president. This guy is more of a straight talker, but markets have learned his tell. When Powell says we're not even thinking about raising rates, he's probably already thinking about it. So whenever he says, it's like he's saying what he's not going to do or what he's not doing is pretty much what he's doing. So also, they say when he pauses and tightens his jaw, you're looking at his jaw. I told you, it's like when he pauses and tightens his jaw, some investors, not everything, not everybody, but some investors interpret that he doesn't like what he's seeing, but won't say it. So he'll sound calm again. They can't have inflection or any kind of like tell, because that would get people that they could literally. Can you imagine the stress it would be to have that job? To be so calm when you know the shit's about to hit the fan. I mean, to see this dude, if he was in office during the crash in 2008, which he wasn't, but if he was, based off of what they know his tell is, he probably would, his jaw probably been protruding, because again, you know, they still have to come out when the crash is about to hit. Go back and look, and I think it may have been Alan Greenspan at the time. What was it? No, it was Ben Bernanke. I'm sure that he was freaking out, but he couldn't tell anybody. And that was the guy that downplayed everything. So when that housing crash came, he was downplaying it, but he knew something was awry based off the banks and things of that nature. So here's the last part of this before we move on. The phrases like we mentioned earlier, and the translation of what an investor may think he's saying. Many investors, again, they treat this like the Super Bowl of finance. They're really trying to figure him out so they know what to do with their investments, with their money. So he said in his speech, this 5-6 minutes, challenging scenario. I stopped so I can get you guys to pay attention to that. He said challenging scenario. And for investors to translate that, they're saying, uh-oh, something's off. For him to say that, there's something wrong. Because, again, he didn't say it with any kind of inflection that we saw. But they would have seen, when he said that, they would have looked at his jaw to see when he said it, like what they're paying attention to him like the Super Bowl. They're rewinding back and forth. His jaw was sticking out. They're really trying to into this. When Powell uses a phrase like this, it signals uncertainty. What are the things that markets hate? Uncertainty, right? But you can see how the market moderately fell. I mean, it still fell, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, moderately to the 2,000, almost 3,000. It fell the first time Trump did something. And then the other 1,000, whatever it was, 1,600, 1,800 before that. So this did almost 700, was 699, right, round up to 700. That's a lot to lose, don't get me wrong, but not as much as it was before. So a part of what he said was scary, and another part was kind of, we'll wait it out, because he said in his speech, he said there was going to be more data that they're going to have to hold off on, but it doesn't look good. But he didn't say those words. That's what they got from it. Markets hate uncertainty more than bad news because they can't price it in. It implies inflation may not fall easily. Unemployment might rise. The Fed may not have a clear path forward. This phrase spooks investors. It hinted that even the Fed is unsure how to solve this puzzle without breaking something. See how much they got out of just that one term? Challenging scenario. Me and you, who may not know these things, would have easily, let's say, thought that it was challenging. Of course it's challenging. With Trump, of course it's challenging. They look way beyond that. They're looking in like, whoever the president or whomever, what is this guy? Because this guy is not supposed to blink. He's not supposed to give you any information other than the data that he has and let you figure it out unless he's willing to tell you, you know, this is going to happen. We're going to have to raise this. We have to lower that. Then you get a more understanding. Like they said, this is worse than them getting bad news because this is uncertainty. Bad news, I know exactly what to do with bad news. If you're telling me that this is what's going to happen, oh, I prepare myself. Everybody, sell, 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 buy bonds. They know it's going to be good and bad. But if you give me like somewhat of a, oh, it's going bad and we having a problem with this, boom, I take my money out for a good day. I may put some in the bank. I'm not in the bank. I may put some in my mattress and may put some overseas and then buy some bonds and wait for the whatever it is to go past. And then I invest my money back in the stocks again. So they're constantly playing this shell game with their money. Most of us are just going to work, coming home, buying a house, buying our car. We're not in it like that. We're just letting it grow and let them do all the work in our 401ks and things of that nature. But that just gives you some understanding. Another thing that he said, tariffs are likely to lead to higher inflation and slower growth. Let's listen to that again. He said these tariffs are likely to lead to high inflation and slower growth. That's called stagflation, right? That's what he was, for them, they heard, he didn't say stagflation, but what they heard was the stagflation alert. The alarm bells going off of stagflation. So that means higher inflation plus slower growth, the nightmare scenario for investors. That combination makes it hard for the Fed to act, right? Cutting rates fuels inflation, right? Raising rates worsens unemployment. This was a flashing red light to investors. Brace for fewer profits, so they know that their money is not going to be coming in like they got it steady, like they, so slower consumer spending, which not as much money is going to be coming in for people to buy stuff. Everybody's going to start holding on to their money, and higher cost. Fewer people are going to be buying. So the people who are spending, they're going to be spending not for higher price things. And if they are, they're going to be buying one thing and they're going to sit their money. So when it's stagnant, these rich people who are constantly wanting the economy to grow, they want you to get your money and buy my shit quick. Get to you as fast as I can. But with stagflation, what you realize, let's say like for billionaires, right? If they see that their money's not coming in, because every year they have like a return of investment goal, you know what I'm saying? They're like, oh, well, we want to get like 25% more or 50% more you made last year. And they put that goal out there and they invest in advertisement and product and all that. And they're trying to reach that goal like every quarter. In that situation, when it starts to get stagnant, these people have made decisions to buy based off what's going on. They have to either stop buying a product and sell it somewhere else, or hold on to the product if it doesn't spoil and store it. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot to figure out based off what this person is saying, whomever's in that position, right? So they don't want stagflation. It messes up everything. And that's pretty much what we were going through big time with the pandemic. Nobody was buying anything hardly. Stores closed, and we had to infuse the economy with money, with the reserves that we had, paying everybody so that they can continue to live, but also keep our economy thriving, giving you the reason to go buy something. Because if you don't go buy something, it messes with the economy. Okay, so that's another. I'm going to give you this third thing that he says. The Fed is not inclined to intervene slowly. Read that again. The Fed is not inclined to intervene solely to stabilize markets. They're not inclined to intervene just to stabilize the markets. Now, an investor would think there's no Fed put. That's a term. Fed put is a market legend. That the belief is that if things get bad, the Fed will save the day. Cut the rates, print money, pump liquidity. So the Fed comes in to save. Pretty much what they did with the market crash for the housing crash and like that in 2008, and they bailed out people and things of that nature. They're saying the Fed is not inclined to intervene to fix everything for y'all, so y'all gonna have to figure it out yourselves. And so that can cause a lot of problems. Now, the reason why they listen to every little word that they say and why the Fed Reserve is so adamant about keeping it kind of even kill, because if they make people afraid, it could mess the market up dramatically. If people sell too quick, that would mean that a lot of the markets will start shifting too much. Too much of a shift and unsteadiness, people start selling off things, which could mess the economy up in a different way. So they're constantly teeter-tottering back and forth so that they keep this thing somewhat level. That would be a pain in the ass if you was in that position, that you can't, get excited or get down. You got to be blah. And the words that you have to say, you can't be lying to the American people, but you have to speak in a way that doesn't frighten them on the face. That's why they dig deep into, like, what's he doing with his eye? What's he doing with his cheek? What's going on? Is he moving? Is he shaking too much? Things of that nature, they're trying to read into it. And that's all done on purpose. So Powell just told the street not to count on that. So when he said that today. So investors heard, you're on your own. That pulled the rug out from under confidence. So they're constantly looking for the Fed to fix things, based upon inflation and, raising the rates or lowering the rates. You're trying to help the American people fix the problems that Americans are doing on their own, right? And that's a good thing for us to have regulations, is because, again, without them, like Trump is trying to do, the economy loses its balance, right? It doesn't know what to do. And that's what he was talking about, the uncertainty of these tariffs and focusing on how long these tariffs may last. Because how long they last also messes with the economy dramatically. So the uncertainty of it all, if Donald Trump had anybody with brains in their freaking head that cared about American citizens, they would be like alarming people, even if they were telling them, behind the scenes to a reporter or something like that, behind his back, that this is not good, right? But they must be all cahoots to do it. Another one that he said, and this is the fourth one, persistent inflation. That means to an investor, no rate cuts coming soon. The word persistent tells markets that inflation isn't falling fast enough, which means interest rates are going to stay high. Borrowing money stays expensive, and when money is too expensive to borrow, people don't do it as much because they're trying to get it low interest, and then they borrow a lot of money. Not unless they have to. Corporate profits get squeezed. As I told you, they're trying to every year increase 25% or whatever the company is doing, 40%, 50% each year. They're not losing money. It's just that they're not reaching their projections, right? So based upon their projections is how much they're investing in the company to get it there. You know what I'm saying? Or getting rid of people to make that leap, to be able to get to that goal that they think they can get. Tech stocks and high growth companies, which depend on cheap capital, they get hit the hardest. So you'll have your Facebooks, Meta, whatever, TikTok, YouTube. Those, not TikTok because they're in Japan, or they still have part here in the United States. They depend on cheap capital, getting low interest rates for the money. So therefore, they pay it back. It's not. A lot of times they're paying for years just the interest, not the principal. And if they can get away with, with 3%, 1%, whatever it may be, just paying that back while they're making profit, they'll continue doing that. There's a whole other game investing in debt. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. If you would never really think. Most of us are taught you don't want to be in debt. There are people who have made their lives and they're wealthy as hell because they're in debt and they're buying debt. It's a whole other world. You can look that up. I'm not gonna go over that, but just to let you know, it's a thing. Um, 5, evolving, he said, economic landscape. Now, an investor would think, we don't know what's coming next. That's what they would translate. It says evolving economic landscape. It's evolving. We don't know what's going on. So they don't know what's going on. So this is classic Fed speak for we're watching and waiting. It means, again, investors want something that is consistent, reliable, clear. Anything that's convoluted, kind of murky, it frightens them. They may not freak out and sell immediately, but they may start selling a little bit at a time. You'll see business owners, corporate businesses selling off, stock and saying like, "Oh, I'm going to start another business." No, they're taking their stock out because they've seen how the market's going to go, and they're freaking out by what at different times, whether it's Alan Greenspan, Ben Bernanke, or right here, Jerome Powell, and they're listening to that, and they're doing this for a rainy day. They don't ever want to be broke, so they're going to do whatever they have to do. So what it means to them, these investors, is there's no clear direction on policy yet. The Fed may pause, hike, or hold based on incoming data. So their fluctuation, they don't know what. So they don't know whether they get rid of them, sell their stuff or not. So it's a lot for them to take in. Investors must stay anxious and reactive. So they're waiting after that to hear what he says or how the market moves, and they're consistently moving toward that based on their reaction. And they always act like they're just super calm, and they're not. They're freaking out on certain situations, depending on, because most of them are in these hedge funds or in investing other people's money. They don't want to lose a whole farm. You know what I'm saying? But they're so diversified that they're not going to. It depends on the individual investor, I guess. It's a non-committal phrase that screams stay nervous, and that is evolving economic landscape. They want certainty, and this guy just said it's uncertain, y'all, and it's day by day. We have no idea what this man is doing. And so the reaction today, what happened was, like I said, the percentages of things dropping, that was fear. And it was almost 700 points of fear, ranging from, 2 something, or I think it's like 2% to 3% of fear of the markets. One of the companies, NVIDIA, I don't know how you say it, NVIDIA, it's mostly a graphic, chip company as well. They got slammed due to unrelated, like the chip export restrictions, but the storm from Powell didn't help. So even though NVIDIA, the chip company / graphics card and all stuff like that, they got hit hard today as well. And it's not just because of Powell, that didn't help. But on top of that, Donald Trump putting all these tariffs on things and taking them off and putting them on. Again, on purpose, this man is making the stock market companies just topsy-turvy. And everybody knows any market that's topsy-turvy, people want to take money out of. They're afraid. They don't know what's going on. They don't want to lose the farm because they got Sir Idiot running it. He is pretty much doing the exact same thing a dictator would do. Make it so that you're relying on him to make your life better. If this man takes the tariffs off and y'all kiss my butt, I'll do whatever you guys want me to do. But now I'm the man, right? That's what he wants everybody to do. Kiss his crusty ass because he's going, oh, now I'll let the tariff off for you. Until when? Now that he's seen this power, he's like a little kid who's gotten power over something and wants to wield it on everybody. He wants to continue to make our lives uneasy. I don't know what this dude's parents did to him or what spawn of Satan dropped him out of their loins, but this man, boy, I would not be one of those people like, oh my God, he passed away. He was 90 years old. I'm like, shit, it took long enough. 90, shit. Let's say it for 80. Say it for 80. He lived a long life. Let's get to that at 80. One more year. I really want less than that, but I'll be nice. One more year. But this is insane. This man is a tyrant that will go down in history as a dude nobody wanted to be, but hateful, racist, misogynist, xenophobic people. They'll look up to him and their king, an orange, crusty king. They'll be at his funeral crying like tears of like for a week, months. You'll see them talking years after he's gone. It was the only, shut up. You know what I'm saying? It's like, shut up. Nobody gives a damn. We don't care. Ain't nobody gonna cry a tear. I might have a party. I might throw a party online whenever it happens and his God, whether that be what they believe in or Satan or whomever it is, brings him home. And I want you to hurry up. Dude, this is crazy, man. But what he did today is let the world know in the terms that he said that the game has changed. We're in a whole new game now. I'm not aware of what's going on, and you don't either. And that right there is to say that, Trump's playbook is uncharted territory. And for a market, that's one of the worst things to tell people. That is, I don't know at all. I don't have a guess. We'll just have to see what he does. And that's what the investors and money people and bankers, that's what they heard today. And so when we see that, the moves that will be made from that will be people selling stuff, which they did today. I didn't see the bond market today, so I don't know whether the bond market fell too. If anybody here knows, let me know. Usually like with the bond market, the interest rates will go up and people don't want to, lend money. People don't want to get money because it's too expensive to get, things of that nature. So we don't know. At least I don't know right now. I'll have to look it up. But every day is something. There's something with this dude. It's just like, us people who didn't vote for him, we don't deserve this. We don't deserve this everyday flipping out stuff. We don't deserve it. We did not ask for this. We didn't vote for it. I just wish it just would just touch those who voted for him so that they can have their king and understand that their world just got rocked because of him. And that's what I would hope, but we can't do anything like that. But we can come up with ways. Again, keep calling your representatives, your senators, all of them. Keep calling them. Bernie Sanders and AOC have been killing it. I've been seeing them at 30,000, 33,000, something like that, 12,500. Their audiences, and these are it's not all of them, but some of these were in deep red states. I was like, wow, they amassed all these people in deep red states. We've been seeing many of these people come out, and from on the Republican side, again with Senator Grassley and others, they're coming out and saying they're fed up, bring this one dude home, even if they don't believe in everything. Even if they do believe in most of the things that Donald Trump is doing, this one, is it Kilmar Abrego Garcia? They're really that situation is really affecting some of these Republicans who voted for Trump. And myself, I mean, I appreciate that he is the catalyst in which to try and defeat this tyrant behavior. Uh, he is just one person. They took thousands of people. And we need to have all of these people and their names and their families coming forward and have their names read out. I've been wondering why are we only talking about Kilmer? I mean, I am for him coming back, and I'm glad we are talking about him. But wouldn't it be more powerful if hundreds of these people came forward? Their wives, their kids, their family members came forward and said, "That's my son. He didn't break any law. That's my baby." Because they said they took anywhere but 14 years old and up. You taking 14-year-old kids and throwing them away? Now, I don't know how many 14-year-old kids, but that's what the actual mandate for them. They didn't have a mandate from human beings, from any citizens. Trump believes he had a mandate. He told them exactly what they can do. 14-year-olds, where are their families? Why aren't they on the news? I mean, one thing I hate about mainstream media is that they go with the story that will sell, and they just end there. All of these people should be at press conferences, large press conferences. Democrats, hear me and hear me well. AOC, Senator AOC and Senator Bernie Sanders. I don't know if they don't. They already have it. They may not. They may already have it. I don't know. Have these peoples and their family members on stage. Give them a few minutes to speak. Who gives a damn if they're Republican or Democrat or Independent? Put them on blast. Put the world on blast by letting these people speak. It's not just Kilmer. It's not just him. He should not be the only one alone in this fight. There are many of these people who did not. And we hear little stories here and there, but you're not blaring it every day. You're not putting them on stage. The more we see, the bigger the situation becomes. See how Donald Trump and his minions, there are many of them speaking and talking about Kilmar's this and that and the third, yet though you haven't proven it. But if you bring thousands of these people, all these people, not thousands, but their family members, I don't know how many they took. I think they said it was over 1,000 or so that they took. They all got moms and dads, hopefully, brothers and sisters, cousins, nieces, nephews. Get them on stage. Get one of them, their representative in their family, to speak for their children, their family member, their loved one. Because right now, these people have made them into animals. They have said that each one of these basically are killers, murderers, just the bad of the bad. I do not believe it. You got to prove that to me. Due process. Everybody deserves it. If you're in this country, you deserve that. Nobody should be able to snatch you up and take you. They shouldn't even be able to snatch you up and take you a block away, let alone snatch you up and take you to a whole other ass country and put you in a dark space that even the people in that country don't want to go and have no reason for being in there other than the fact that they don't like if they say something against the powers that be in that country. A lot of the people in that jail are not gang members. And I didn't find that out until I think it was yesterday. There are many people in that jail from their own country in El Salvador because people said something against the government. That's dark. That's evil. And us just talking about one man, it's hard for one man to move a country. But when you get to see the family members, the daughter, the sons, the teenage kids whose lives this is affecting because their father, their brother, their loved one is being treated no better than an animal, wild animal at that, come on. Democrats, I don't see how we're allowing them to, and I ain't saying they're doing it and allowing it, but it's like you're not reaching out to these family members. Each one of y'all should have had a press conference or something with one of the family members there. Because if you don't, You're believing in that narrative that these people deserve to be there. And I don't believe that. I can't believe it based on the idea that Donald Trump is going to be fair, that the people he put into place have already labeled Kilmar Abrego Garcia like something that he's not. He's never been in. They made him seem like he was some kind of gang member. There's no proof that he was a gang member. That he broke laws, there's no proof. This man belonged to a union, became an American citizen, married to a woman, and he's here legally at least, and his wife's American citizen. So he had a family working in a union. What time did he have for a gang? Was he in a gang when he was 12 or 13? The fuck has that got to do with him now if he's no longer in it? But again, we don't know the full details. Think about this, ladies and gentlemen. If somebody just casted something on you, even on social media, somebody could say, oh, that dude, did this, or that girl did that. You have to go on a whole ass campaign because other people take it and take it and take it and take it and take it. By the end of the day, you are that. Until you get up and say, I'm not that, never been that, and I don't know where y'all got that from. Here's the proof. Here's the receipts. And you got to prove yourself based off somebody else's lies. The idea that if this brother comes back to this country, everybody who took him should be arrested. That goes for Pam Bondi. That goes for when Trump gets out of office. That goes for JD if he gets out of office. It also goes for Marco Rubio. You guys should not be able to walk as a citizen in this country being a tyrant. You went against everything this country believes in. You're not a patriot. How can you be a patriot breaking everything this country stands for? It's a constitution. Had these people been convicted of said crimes, I can see. But we have a due process here. We have a legal system here. Not all of us necessarily love it, but ask any black person right now who gets treated unfairly by cops, have been in their lifetime, not all of them, but many. Ask them would they want to trade going to court and still possibly winning or losing. More likely going to lose than win, but still you got to toss up a coin and could possibly walk out. Go into a situation now where you ain't got to be doing nothing, and they can literally just take you off the street, and you don't see your mom and dad no more, based off of their feeling. Oh, you got a tattoo? Yeah, but it's a Jesus Christ or what? Doesn't matter. That's a gang. It's MS-13s. They got Christ on theirs too. What the fuck are you talking about? No worries. Just close your eyes. We'll just take you downtown. The fuck is that all about? You go to a whole other state, and from there you go to a whole other country. We have to understand this is not normal. It's not right, and we need to stop normalizing it and saying like, oh, what if? No, what if? Bring them all back. Not just kill them, bring them all back and take them through the process. Americans did not sign up to be snatching people out of their lives. If they broke said law, then therefore they get kicked out based upon the rules of being able to be a citizen in this country. If you're here illegally or quote unquote, they want to call it legally, it's undocumented. If you go through the process and something's changed in their undocumentation, whether you want to make them a citizen or not, go through that process. But we have a process. We have rule of laws, right? So why are you going against it? Again, this is the same, close to the same, but even worse than what Trump did last time. Last time he was the president, he was snatching children away from their parents, sending them off to other places where today they still don't know where mom and dad are. And mom and dad don't know if their child is healthy or dead. This isn't Donald Trump's first foray into doing evil shit to people who don't look like him. This is the way he works. This is the way he operates. And I don't understand how anybody who literally says that they are a Trump supporter validated, quote unquote, building a wall and snatching these people out of their own lives and taking them away from their own babies. And then saying it's their fault. We wouldn't have took their babies had they not come here illegally. They weren't here illegally. They came through the process. They came and you threw them in cages. When they come, it's supposed to be a due process. When they get here, they get to see a lawyer, plead their case. And if we say, okay, you got valid reason, you stay in the country until you get another case, another hearing, and go through the process legally. But if they find out at the border that you really don't have a reason, they send you back to wherever you came from, Mexico, Canada, whatever, right? That's how it worked. We were just inundated with a lot of people and didn't have enough people to actually continue the process. We do need to work on our immigration laws. But that's it, laws and a process. They don't have a process. Their process is to break our laws, saying F the law, just kick them out. Well, then take them back to the countries in which they are from then, if you're going to talk about that. No, we're going to take them to a max prison. And think about this. That's our money, y'all. That's our money. So when you think about it, we're supporting putting people in cages in another country, disappearing them from their families and loved ones. With our tax dollars, they're doing this. Senators, congressmen and women, defund this. You guys hold the purse, the House, you hold the purse. Pull back the reins on the purse. I heard somebody say today, turn the lights out in the White House, whatever you got to do. Stop paying for shit until they start to act right, because there is no way. But again, we don't have that power just yet because we elected these idiots in both House and the Senate. But you got to do something. Something. Americans have got to figure something out because this cannot stand. We should not be able to allow this man to not pay attention to the courts. Now, the Supreme Court, a judge came out today and said that it's likely that, that he has just cause to say that Trump and all his people are skirting the law. And, I don't know what that holds, whether some people can be arrested, but he said that they're, by holding them in contempt, Donald Trump has already, appealed it to some degree at the Supreme Court, I guess. It just happened today. So I can see they're trying to do something. But when you start to realize that whom Donald Trump has hired has created a system that supersedes our own, meaning like with Project 2025, they saw all the loopholes in our country and where they can get away with stuff, and they're implementing all of them at once. With our laws, and I don't understand how these judges, and it looks as though even though a court has power, they still are rendered powerless. That doesn't sound like a democracy to me. Because all of us were raised to break the law, you pay for it. And Donald Trump's giving these people the right to break the law with impunity. And you also got to think about it. What kind of human beings are these people? The Marco Rubios, the Pam Bondis, the J.D. Vance, and others. What kind of people would want to put this kind of evil? Where do you find people this evil together? Like this whole crew of just evil people. And why didn't America recognize this evil and say, we don't want this evil leading us? You can have your own little group somewhere, you know what I'm saying? You can have your KKK and your white nationalist groups, but we don't want them leading the country. And somehow, a lot of Americans said, yeah, we want the dumbass people who are racist, sexist, misogynist, and xenophobic and just everything hateful. Yeah, we want them running the country because we trust them. The fuck is that, America? That's some self inflicting pain I don't get. You said you were hurting economically, so you chose a dude that has bankrupted 6 casinos to help you economically. How is that going so far? He's trying to bankrupt America. 145% tariffs on China. And on top of all the other things that have already been on China, that's like 245% when you come to it. All the other tariffs that was put on them over the years that are still in place from what I hear, from what I read. I think it was Washington Post or something like that. Added up all together, all the tariffs on, in different sectors though, it's not one sector, but all the tariffs period on them together is like 245%. I don't know what this man is trying to do with us, but I know as far as dictators go, it's to destroy us and have him as a messiah. Oh, with his word and his pen, my life got better. This is what 30% of the dipshits in this country decided. I want that. Yeah, Trey Shy, Senator Van Hollen was there today, um, and he couldn't verify life at all. His lawyers, who represent him, have never spoke to him, which literally means they represent his family, because he doesn't even know who they are. This is America, y'all. This is not a third world country, but we're acting like one. This is not a dictatorship, but the House and the Senate are allowing him to be one. Republicans. I hope if we survive this, that you hateful ass Republicans, MAGA, realize the pain you inflicted not only on yourself but on innocent people just because you have hate in your heart. You fuck with everybody else's life and yours got fucked with too because you can't figure out why you aren't making it in life. Why don't you just work on your life and stop trying to control others and maybe your life would be better? Why don't you put all that energy and hate toward loving something else in life as opposed to turn around and look all the energy it takes you to hate, you could easily turn that into a positive thing toward love. But no, you choose hate because you have yet to find out why your God or devil brought you here, other than to destroy somebody else's life so you feel better. That's sick. All of you guys who are like that are sick. Destroying other people's lives so you could feel better. I don't know what your parents did to you or didn't do for you. But here's the thing. Grow the fuck up already. You don't want nobody impeding on your life. How do I know? Try to put a mask on you. You act crazy. That was saving somebody else's life. You didn't care. You call cops on people so that you can get them in trouble or unalive them for fun, like it's a sport. Like you're going skeet shooting or some shit. What did people ever do to you in your life? Because it doesn't appear you've ever really met any of these black people or trans people. It's hate in your heart for some other reason. Or is it because you finally found somebody who loved you? Yeah, the people you guys come together with to hate, you finally found love with somebody. You found love in hate. You found friends in hate. That's more likely what it is. It's not about the people you hate. It's about you guys finding your place with those people that do nothing but hate. You'll never get out of it because you're in a cult of personality. It's like these people think like you, act like you found home. It's no different than a gang. You found people who think like you. They want to do some of the things you do, harm people, say bad things about people, and lift yourself up, your self-esteem, because you guys, that's all you got. Nobody else is lifting you up but those people. So you found home in hate. And as long as you got love on that side of the fence and you think your daddy Trump loves you, but when you find out your life starts to fall apart, that's where you see some of these MAGAs waking up. They're realizing, I'm in a gang. I'm in a cult. I've been skirting the law, saying things that don't matter, harming people just because I don't want you to touch my king, Trump. I'll do whatever I have to so that you don't touch my king. Degrade yourself. Many of you, if you could just find love in something other than hate, would have a better life. Why are you in the positions that you're in? Because hate is your friend. And who wants to be around that except for hateful people? That's why. I choose love, but don't get it twisted. I will light into your ass if you attack me, because it's not a situation where, one of the things in this country, in this world, I would guess, is that people think love and kindness is weakness. Mm-mm. Try me if you will. You'll understand. I got a lot of work out there. You can go look at my account. You'll see. Try me if you think you can, but it's not going to be something you're going to like. Or you can get this person, the one that cares about everybody, until you fuck with them. I kind of imagine almost everybody on the planet has that person in them that has to go to a place to dismantle evil, but would rather live in the positive, uplifting world. And I would hope that one day we can get there, agree to disagree type of thing instead of just hate. One of the things I was thinking about earlier today was like, wishful thinking, of course. When are we going to get to that place where we have conversations and find out what is the root of your problem? And I'm talking about the MAGA people. What is the root of your problem? What is your hate? Why are you hating? Do you even know? Do you even know why you don't like a liberal? Because, again, all parties or any entity or source, if they want you to ride with them, they'll try and negate the other side so that you pick this side. How about you stop being, a sheep for any particular position and just listen to people and what they say? And then do your homework to see that that person is being truthful to you. Your loyalty to things is too easy to be had. And if it's too easy to be had, it says a lot about your character. It says that you're more willing to believe anything to be accepted by someone. And that acceptance is more important than fact. And if you're in that situation, then you're enslaved into this thing of weakness. Whatever somebody says to me that makes me feel good, I'm riding with that person. But what if I'm making you feel good because I want to manipulate you? Is that a good place to be? No. I can't manipulate you if you're rooted in fact. So then you get to understand that the people in your life are really for you when they talk to you or preach to you, and you can go check it out and find out it's fact. Falling in love with somebody that makes you feel good but lies to you is not a great relationship to be in. And all of us have what our Creator gave us, free will. You'll realize no matter it's today or 50 years from now, you'll realize that it was your free will to believe in hate. It was your free will to believe in anger about other people when you did not know the full facts. That was your free will. Nobody forced you into it. It's what you felt inwardly. Oftentimes when we got anger or hate towards somebody, it is nothing more than a reflection of the anger and hate that you have for yourself. It takes a strong person to see that there are other people in this world and they deserve just as much respect. And at some point in your life, somebody didn't give it to you. And so you're reaching out to get it from any source. And once you do, that source becomes that God, so to speak, to you. That's why you see they have put Trump in a position of like God to them. They mention it all the time. And why? Why do they say that? Because they can't fight for themselves. The things that he says, they want to be able to say, but can't. They're too afraid to say it to anybody else. They want to hide behind this racist, xenophobic guy and just say, I like him, but never tell you why. You're attached to his hate. You're attached to the power that he brings. People talk about, oh, he is so elegant. He speaks. Where the fuck you see that at? That is not elegance. You got the wrong adjective. He has, he speaks powerfully. No, he doesn't. He speaks like a 5-year-old. That's a little too young. A 5th grader. And that's harsh for a 5th grader because I know a lot of smart 5th graders. He speaks poorly. How do people think, oh, he's got so much, like character? No, he doesn't. I don't understand where y'all get this shit from. But again, you got to realize who says these things. If you're saying that there's something wrong with you, that you see that as something he speaks well, then what is up with the way you speak? If you think someone who makes noises sometimes, that dude is a dude that speaks well. It says a lot more about who you are than it says him. I always look at it this way. Look at people who you think, they don't have to be, but people who you think are better than you to bring out the better part of you. Quit looking at these people just because they say what you feel as if there's somebody that you should ride with, just because he's got this bravery to say what you want to say and can't. That part is the part that leads you down the wrong path. That's the part that's crazy to me. It is bizarre, Earthkeeper, most definitely. Does speak poorly, neither here nor there. I just never seen this charisma they say he has. I'm like, where do you see that at? Where do you get charisma with a guy who throws on orange toner so that he's not a white dude? He's like this orange cretin. I mean, come on. The dude who has nothing but insults, and let him go toe to toe with a black person. He'll get his ass lit up with talking about him and saying things about him, his mama, his brother, sister. Let him go at somebody like that. He will not be able to last. But he always goes after these people that never really fight back. They're trying to take the high road. No. Let him go toe to toe with somebody who really knows how to do the dozens. Better than him, of course, because we're just the GOAT at that type of thing. And see how long he lasts. See how long your dear leader lasts before he starts crying and going on Twitter or something like an X and saying, he said something bad about me, and ask you guys to come support him. How strong can he be that he asked people to do what they did on January 6th? If he is such a powerful man and he was so strong, why didn't he go do it himself? weakness. They always want to sell strong people. Strong people are weak people in this situation. We talking about a strong man, it's a weak man that needs somebody to pat him on the back, to say a good story about him. Who gives a shit? You know who gives a shit? Weak people. Gives a shit about every little thing that's been written about him. Little crybabies. That's what he is. And he has to be mean because nobody loved him when he was a child. Nobody hugged him. Mom didn't give him the teat. I'm like, please, grow the fuck up, you 70-year-old, like, you know, I ain't gonna say that word, but remedial shit. Why don't you just grow up? But no, they think he's strong, which tells me a lot about the people who think he's strong. Tells me a lot. But I don't know. I'm kind of like just tired of them giving him this power that he doesn't deserve. Um, I'm wondering when America's going to rise up and get rid of this regime the best way it knows how. Because I don't want to see America lose its democracy because people were too weak and scared to fight for it. The Republicans in the House and the Senate need to do something. And if not, their constituents need to. You need to handle your business however you may need to do it. But those people have to go. If you want democracy, they have to go. They have to get out of here. I don't know if you have another election. I don't know what you got to do. But you need to make sure that nobody like them ever gets back in. And that the Republicans, if you want to start a new brand of you guys outside of these nut jobs, go ahead. Do that. But right now, you guys let this disease into your party and they're going to kill your party. Don't get it twisted. We had other parties before, Republicans and Democrats. We had Whig Party and all these other things. But those things are going to go to the wayside, the Republicans, if it continue down that pathway. Trump wants to make it a dictatorship. And if you don't believe that, study Hitler, study all the dictators in the past, and you'll see they're doing the exact same thing this man has did. There's no difference. He is following it to a T. He even is destroying our economy and trying to make himself a hero once he stops fucking with it and it starts to come back. If you haven't noticed, Donald Trump is in his second term. And he doesn't give a shit about any American. None of you Republicans and MAGAs. Dude, look. Before I go on this, I'm going to tell you, what has Donald Trump done for you lately, MAGA? The prices, not bringing them up. Snatching people off the street, doing that. Getting people out of here, but spending millions of dollars to house them. You wanted to save money. He's spending money, not saving. Firing a lot of you Republicans, white people in these positions of government. Defunding the police. And all they got to do is tell you something is bad and you back it up. When is it going to get to the point where he's going to say, you know what, farmers are bad, and he gets rid of y'all and makes it so that his billionaires hires you as employment, but you can no longer own a farm. Billionaires own the farm. What are you going to do then? Are you going to wait till that point comes? Or are you going to fight before it gets here? He just said he can be able to take any American citizen, but he tries to paint you a picture of the worst citizen. Oh, the one that throws people in front of a train. The ones that does this, that, and the third. But think about it. What's the difference between you and that person who just threw somebody over a train? You're both American citizens. So what's the difference? You committed a crime? Well, our law says if you say you commit a crime, you go to court. And when you go to court, you get proven innocent or guilty. Guilty in jail, innocent, you get back on the street. innocent until proven guilty. He's saying you're guilty because he feels you're guilty. Doesn't have to have evidence of it. It can just be said about you. How do you want that? Because again, you think it's going to be somebody who's brown or black or gay or trans. No, it's going to be anybody who doesn't kiss his ass. It can be the farmer, the truck driver, the factory worker, union members, anybody. It could be me for speaking out against him and calling him dipshit. It could be any of us. And you're willing to give that away because you got hate in your heart, because your family members didn't love you or treated you bad, because you were born with a bad IQ and you're pissed off that somebody of color is doing better than you. Something that's not their fault, but it's your fault that you're trying to harm others because you didn't become all you were created to be. Maybe you spent more time on being who you were supposed to be instead of hating on those people that you can never be. You may have had a better life. You may have more joy in your life than hate. But it's up to you. If you want that for you and your family. Because trust me, there are white men right now with women who are different race as their wives that are fighting to keep their wives in this country, who have never did anything wrong, but be a person who used to be an immigrant, or a person who didn't have their particular, all their papers, but now they got all their papers, they're American citizen, still came here as an immigrant. This person is trying to make it so, even though they have become citizens, we want to revoke it. How many does that tap into your family? All of you. How many people down the path of your life, how many decades or centuries has it been that your family came here as immigrants? And what if he got rid of all of that and said, anybody can get it. Just treat us bad. Don't kiss my ass and we'll see. That's what he's looking to do. And if you're not looking to find out a way to defeat this, calling your representatives on a day-to-day basis until you get tired and they get tired, and you shouldn't get tired until they're gone. There's no sleep for the weary. There's no sleep for us not fighting back on this. That shouldn't be a day that goes by that you either, I don't care if you do, if you're a person who says, I don't like to speak on the phone, write a letter. Send a text, tweet them. I don't care what it is. But we need to be on their ass every day and giving them things they should do if they can't think of something. Again, Democrats, get these people's families that are in these prisons from this country, get their families in front of a camera at one of your conferences or your town halls or these meets with AOC. You guys, I understand you want to talk about your platform. That's great. You're not running for office right now. You ain't going to be anybody than who you are right now. Deal with the topics at hand. Get these families in front of a camera. Not just one, as many as you can find. Do your homework. Make sure they weren't in a gang and things of that nature. Whatever you got to do to cover yourself. I wouldn't care, but I understand you guys got political lives, whatever. Make sure these people aren't rapists and killers and whomever you're talking to. And talk to their families. I know they want to talk to y'all. You're just not answering the calls. You can't tell me the rest of their families is like, fuck them. You can't tell me that. They may be afraid to come up because they're undocumented, what people call illegal, which is not illegal. But you need to be out there pounding that pavement and making sure. And again, most of us don't know who's there because they didn't put any names out. They didn't let anybody know their children were taken. But here's the thing. They got a lot of footage right now. Somebody done saw their baby there. Somebody done seen their cousin there off these videos. That's why they had their heads down, so you wouldn't be able to see or recognize who they stole. But if you got a glimpse, people, tell them your kid is there, your family's there. Fight. Don't let it. If your kid ain't came home, if your kid hasn't answered his phone, if your son or husband just up and disappeared, you know more than likely they're there. Get in front of a camera. Fight back. All right. Thank you guys. I appreciate you guys being here as always. Let me see. I can take that down. You can support me as you saw on the screen. You can become a member, subscribe if you will. Always come in here, share facts. Hopefully, educate sometimes. Everything's like educational, loving, and also I get it in with just political facts and how we can make this place a better place. I've told my members we're still going to be working on some of these solutions. Some of the things that I'm focusing on is things we need to ask, our senators and representatives about how we can change markets for ourselves to do certain things that can make our lives better. People powered stuff and not, focus on profit so much as far as focus on people. Of course, you're going to make profit, but people come first. People over profit, and then we can make things happen for the good. Working on things of that nature, working on things that are trying to help realize that if Americans with small businesses and mid-sized businesses are the foundation, they create like 97% of the jobs in this country, then those are the ones that needs the subsidies and not loans. Those are the ones that need to have our money invested in them so that they can grow bigger and create living wage jobs in our communities, not these mega companies that are way out in the middle of nowhere around rich people and giving jobs to other rich people, opportunities to rich kids, family members, rich business people's family members and stuff of that nature. We don't need more of that. We need these small and middle class companies to get subsidies so they can grow and hire people near their communities where the people live. Our money should be working for the majority of the people, not the minority. Them getting subsidies all the time is sickening. It needs to be given to small and mid-sized businesses. This way, it's reciprocal so that we have mid-sized businesses and small businesses starting that will be beneficial to the people, that will create these jobs. We know they will create them. Why? Because their business is small and mid-sized. They have to grow in order to fulfill government-sized contracts. That means they have to hire people. So we already know that will work. They can't cut people out when they're small and don't have enough to be able to pull it off. You have to give them the money to give them the jobs. So that's how we grow people's lives and give them an opportunity to buy homes, put money into the economy instead of buying back stocks and sending money overseas. If we really are for the people, damn it, we need to start acting like it. And the people need to start voting like it. We need to start investing like it. And we need to help these people who are starting these small, mid-sized companies that are people-centric to be able to take our world to a whole new place. Investing in these millionaires and billionaires is a joke, because they get richer, you get poorer. Even though you may get some money over 20, 30 years of your life, they're getting the money right now. And you need to figure out a way how you can do it too. We're working on something of that nature as well, to help the people, make money every time they spend money. And I'll explain that too to my members later. But I'll keep teasing it here. But I'll be working on it. Just know that. And I'll have meetings with the members to talk about that, people who are members. All right. Let me see. If I were looking to be looking for a job, I would work for a small business owner. Oh yeah, because again, they need you. Small business is gonna need you. You know what I'm saying? And they're gonna respect what you can do for them because your labor helps them grow. And if you are dedicated to a small business, so shall you grow. Right? Small and mid-sized businesses, when you go to work for them, you grow with them. And if you have that entrepreneur bug, you're more than likely to become, 100,000aire, millionaire, whatever you desire, by working for them, because you get to see the grind from the bottom all the way up to the top. And if you want to try and get on that grind yourself, you start your business and you already know how to do it because you've seen it work from the bottom. You can start your own business probably from the middle because you've made enough money to invest in yourself to take it to a certain level. So yeah, middle class and small business, middle class, mid-sized businesses and small businesses are the place to be. Are the place to be, especially when they're starting to grow. Let's see, what do we got here? Let me say a few more things before we bounce out of here. Uh, Having work corrections, this is rude Airplane Janet. In the past, that position prevents them from being seen, but is also a stress position to prevent them from seeing their surroundings and make them uncomfortable. I don't know what that was about. My bad. The whole conversation is a whole conversation behind that. Uh, Rendition, not deportation. Deportation is what's happening. Uh, yeah, Donald Trump's just big time on like a revenge thing. Uh, I just can't wrap my head around how could you not want Kamala's offer to us. You mean to tell me you don't want $25,000 to buy a house or $50,000 to start a business? Exactly. Um, that's what we should have and had. It's just, to me, I look back on it and it's kind of hard to look back on it, but you get saddened by it that the promises she had for our country and the hope of, positive energy and love and making things right, giving people opportunity to buy a home, giving people an opportunity to get a business, and take that risk. Oh, it's unnerving to think that our world spun out of whack on just the hatred of those people out there who say that they'd rather ride or die with a rapist, friend of a pedophile, been accused of it himself, uh, 34-time felon, grabbing them by the what, all that. You rather ride with that and thought it was going to be a good thing. And because these people can't get out of this cult bubble, they see that things are going bad and not good, and they're willing to keep giving him another chance and another chance and another chance until it affects their life. And then they switch. What we've seen so far is how many of these people who voted for Trump, how many of their lives have been affected. That's why we see them in the media talking about, I'm about to lose my farm, I'm about to lose this. It hit them quick. But there's so many other ones that it hasn't hit yet, or they're too afraid to admit they were wrong. Gotta think about it. Most of these MAGA people like Trump for the fact that he was wrong, but yet could still claim that he was right. That he wasn't worthy of certain things, but yet he still got them. They're joyful for the fact that a man who didn't do shit in life has been successful. His father made the money, had all the connections, and Trump rode his coattails. This should piss these hardworking people off. But once again, they look at his life as their own. And they know if he can never have that life, they will never be able to have it. Even though they wouldn't anyway. It's all about feelings, hopes, and dreams. And they're living vicariously through that idiot. And that's why you can't break them from him. It's because he is them. He is their dream. openly hateful, openly angry, openly disrespectful, openly wrong, and won't admit it, and never held to account for anything he does. They enjoy that because they see in themselves they see in him the superhero they could never be. A person who never was held responsible for his awful reactions and actions. And they enjoy it. They relish in it. You can't get those evil people out of that evil bubble. Because again, these are the people who had fangs the entire time, and now you know they're wild animals and they can never be put back into the bottle. Ever. You see them for who they really are. I got too many friends that I saw who they really were or are that I never want to be around them again. Because why would you? I mean, would you want to go hang around a wild animal and all it took was hatred to somebody to give you the right to be hateful? Spend your whole life acting like you care about a certain people or type of people, but once the person in power opens up the floodgates for you to be this evil turd, you decide to go down this turd route? Then why would you want to be around that? Once Donald Trump is gone, who's going to be that person that they rely on to be that? It won't. All the rest of these people don't have what he has to do that. That's why they look up to him like little simps. Because without him, there's nobody else to lead. They're all followers. As you can see, none of them will step up to Trump, which literally tells you none of them have leadership qualities. They're followers by nature, right? They're cosplaying as leaders. Think about that one. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I got to get to the other show on TikTok. That was we deal with mental health. It's more of a calming thing, which I need. Meditate at the beginning, meditate at the end, and in between, we watch a documentary on mental health. So, and I think we all need that. I didn't have it when I was growing up. Being, in my community, Black community I grew up in, we didn't talk about mental health, didn't know anything about it. We all had that uncle or cousin that, our families used to say, oh, they're a little touched, they're a little this, whatever adjective they used. But they were suffering in silence because there were issues that people just didn't admit. And so now for the last couple years or so, I've been working on mental health and learned a lot about it, and mostly to be of service and to others to help them. But the things I have learned have also helped me become a better person and deal with things. So if you ever want to check it out, check it out. I'm Mr. Straight Facts pretty much on every platform except for I think one of them, Straight Facts No Chaser. So you can be able to find either one of those three, and you see my mug, the gray beard, looking crazy with the eyebrow up or whatever. You know where to find me. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the support. Thank you for the love. And I'll see you tomorrow around 5 p.m. I'll read some of the comments later. And I don't know if it'd be gone, so I'll not be able to respond, but I'll respond to some maybe tomorrow when we do what we do. All right? So you guys, as always, much love, and I'll see you when I see you.